How high is high for students? The cost of living. Yes. The cost of living is the amount of money that people need to spend in order to buy basic goods or services such as food, clothes, and also a place to live. The rising cost of living in the country has forced many people, amongst them students, to take jobs so as to survive their way through. Students are struggling to meet their expenses as the cost of everything from the tuition fee to housing to the books, the pens that they need to use, everything, even including the transport, has gone really high. Those hit hard at students learning in universities and colleges, as many of them live as pay as you eat. And as we know, food is a necessity to everyone, not only the students. So I had a sit down with some of the students to discuss, or rather to know how the cost of living has affected them. Have they taken measures to make sure that they are still in school? What jobs have they taken, probably to make sure they support themselves in paying fees and buying things that they need from here to here? Listen in.
Hello, I'm Devi, a student at NIBS pursuing electrical engineering. For me, the high cost of living has really impacted my life in a very huge way, in a negative way. Personally, I don't depend on my parents give me money, so I have to look for money for me to survive. So at times I have to go to work and skip classes. At times I have to go to class late because now everything is going high. Everything is expensive nowadays. You cannot stay without money. Sometimes you have to plan yourself. You have to skip some meals like lunch, so that you can have enough money to sustain you. There's this pressure of the renting, the school fees, everything. The high cost of living has really affected me.
Yeah, my name is Joshua Baraka, a third year student taking bachelor's in information technology in KCA University. So about the high impact of the economy on the students, personally I can say that it has been very hard for me because because I have to work in the night while I am studying in the day. So we get that the concentration levels are very low because I'm very tired due to the job in the night. Secondly, mm, secondly, I also have to skip some meals because my parent can't support me fully with the money for lunch, breakfast, and supper. So it is very hard for some of us.
I'm Esther Migalisi from Mount Kenya University, and I do Bachelor of Arts in Public Administration. Yeah, concerning the question about the high standard of living, yeah, my views are some students may lack money to buy their necessities, so they end up being depressed. Yeah, some may end up committing suicide. Yeah, the second one is malnutrition, whereby the students do not afford money to buy the balanced diet food, so they end up eating the same meal a day, so they end up getting malnutrition. And the third one is when the student do not have money or their parents don't have money, they end up missing classes due to lack of school fees and other needs like food. So their education and their studies end up deteriorating.
My name is Wesonga Charles. I'm from Dika Town, pursuing accounting from Excel School of Profession. For me, this is a challenge that has encountered as a student while I'm still pursuing my course. The challenge is that I had to find another alternative means on how I can sponsor myself, which facilitates some inconveniences for my study, for it has made me to look for another way of doing an extra mile. For instance, I used to wake up by 4 because there is another organization whom I was working with as a promoter for their services. Then that has really made me sometimes lose that enough time for me for studies. So it was all my desire and my plea if the government could just minimize the inflation that is really affect the whole world. But for me, it is a good suggestion that I was just appealing.
As from the interviews rather, it's very clear that most of the students have taken part-time jobs so as to maintain themselves in school. Some of them as we've had are working even at night, and it becomes very tedious for them to really concentrate in class during the day because they're tired from all the hustle and bustle during the night. Some of them are working 2 jobs, waking up very early in the morning just to work to be able to really sustain themselves with a high cost of living. Some of them are forced to engage in criminal activities, stealing and all that, just to make sure they have some money. And this, to be clear, it's not a way for youths or rather students to engage in criminal activities, but because of the high cost of living, it's also a leeway for making them to really engage in these activities. But some of them are saying that the government should at least check on this to reduce the high cost of living. So as not only to the students, because when the cost of living is going to be reduced, it's going to be a little bit easier for their parents to be able to provide their needs. But because the cost of living is high, the school fees, the parents are not able to pay for the school fees, others drop out. And so because of these cases, the government, some of the students are seeking for the government to really look into this high cost of living. But what really should the government do to make sure that the students are really are just staying in class? They are not forced to take jobs. They need to really concentrate in class and do whatever they were taken to school to do. What are the measures that the government are putting forward to make sure that all students are catered for, in as much as some of the students are being sponsored, but even to have that meal, it becomes difficult. I know maybe it can be some might argue you can have 100 bob, but that 100 bob, even to get it for some of the students, it's a difficulty even to some of the parents. So long as they have paid the school fees, it becomes tedious. And even some of the universities and colleges do not provide housing. They don't have hostels, so the students are forced to seek for housing somewhere else, and the rent becomes so high, even that the universities can put it so that the students are able to live maybe around the school, using the schools hostels. By this, it can become a little bit cheap, because when students are forced to go and look for housing somewhere else, they pay the rent separate from the food, from the light, from water. It becomes really hard for students, because all those things in one, and you're still a student, you're not earning from anywhere. It becomes difficult not only to the student but also to the parents. So this is a call to our government, and also to a shout out to all the students who are making sure that they use the necessary forums or necessary ways to get money, at least to to boost themselves up. But this is not supposed to be the way. Government should do something to make sure that all students fit and they're able to study without any difficulty, without any hindrance, to make sure that they succeed in life and become people, potential people in future, and potential employers and employees. That has been the cost of living. I have been Florence Akinyi.